Welcome to the No DQ live recap of WrestleMania Backlash. Of course, the post-WrestleMania pay-per-view, which back in the day used to be called Backlash. But now you have to make it extra special as far as WWE is concerned, and it's now WrestleMania Backlash. I guess with Peacock, you have to make this pay-per-view as significant as possible, and you add the name WrestleMania, it's a bigger deal, I guess. Shout out to everybody in the chat room watching live, and thank you to everybody watching on demand as well. If you are going to send in super chats tonight, it's very much appreciated, but I do have one request. Please stick to the topic. So for instance, if you want to send a super chat about the main event, save it for the main event. There's a lot to discuss, an eventful pay-per-view. A lot of news coming out of this pay-per-view as well. So let's get started. We kicked off the WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view with, of course, the kickoff show. And we had a special added match, of course, which we tend to have. We had Sheamus, the reigning and sometimes defending United States champion, come into the ring for an open challenge. He said he would not put his championship on the line, but he would give somebody an opportunity to beat him. Who accepted the challenge? Why, it was No DQ visitor Psycho Jet Black's favorite wrestler, Ricochet. Ricochet, this was on such short notice that he did not even have time to put on his actual ring gear. He went down there and wrestled in his jeans. So we had this match, which was your standard kickoff match, and Sheamus did pick up the win. Ricochet got a few near falls, but Sheamus did score the victory with a knee to the face. And then after the match, we had Sheamus getting on the mic and starting to celebrate. But Ricochet attacked Sheamus from behind, took Sheamus's hat and jacket, started wearing them and dancing around. Sheamus ran after Ricochet. Ricochet threw the hat in Sheamus's face and ran to the outside and ran away. What is this trend that's going on here in WWE with the baby faces that are now cowards? They lose fair and square, and then they're sore losers afterwards, and then they run away when the guy that beat them gets all angry and mad. Like, really? This is supposed to make me want to like Ricochet, that he's a little coward that cannot handle a loss? But whatever. It's the kickoff. It is what it is. Let's get to the actual pay-per-view. We started off WrestleMania Backlash, the pay-per-view, with a cold opening, which we always get. We had Dave Bautista doing a narration for this, which was pretty cool. But little did we know at the time what this really meant. What was going to be the exchange? What was Bautista getting in return? Because there's a new movie. There's a zombie movie with Bautista, and it's called Army of the Dead, I believe. I should know because they plugged it like a million times on this show. And during this cold opening, we also got clips from this Bautista movie. And I was like, okay, fine. The cold opening has clips from Bautista's movie. It's a fair trade-off. But little did we know what was to come. And we'll get to that soon. Believe me, we will. We had our opening match, which was for the Raw Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley defending her title against Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Now, here's something for all of the Charlotte haters. Asuka and Rhea Ripley, they've had a few matches against each other. One of them was at WrestleMania. Those matches were not the best women's division matches. Whatever reason, Rhea Ripley and Asuka in singles matches were just not cutting it. You add Charlotte to the mix, and this was a really good match. Not sure how Charlotte made the difference, but it was a really solid opening match here with the ladies. Back and forth here. Charlotte going to the outside early, and you had Asuka and Rhea working together momentarily, but then they went against each other. Asuka built up some momentum, but Charlotte got the upper hand, did her moonsault to the outside on both Asuka and Rhea. Asuka and Rhea then worked together again, and they did a double superplex to Charlotte, and then they all started trading blows, going back and forth. Charlotte hit a double natural selection, tried to pin both of them, but they both kicked out. Then Charlotte got knocked off the apron. Rhea Ripley took advantage of this, hit the Riptide, and pinned Asuka to retain her championship. No issues here with this finish. We all knew Asuka was going to take the fall. I'm glad Rhea Ripley retained her title and did not lose after 1 month as champion. There was really no reason for Charlotte to get the title back. I'm happy with this. And I forgot to mention, as Dr. NXT Scorpio said with a $2 super chat, and thank you for that, says, Flair looked like Cruella de Vil tonight, and that was by design. From 101 Dalmatians, Cruella de Vil, with the whole outfit, the black and white outfit that Charlotte had for her match. And I was even wondering, Charlotte has this fancy outfit. Is she winning the title? But she did not. Johnny Boy with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Johnny Boy. I appreciate it. Says, and he's jumping ahead here a little bit, so I guess I'll just get this out of the way now. Johnny Boy sent in a $5 super chat. Says, why are we getting Hell in a Cell so soon again? Makes sense to push back Money in the Bank because of fans returning, but why not just do Extreme Rules or something? That is a great question, Johnny Boy, and I guess we'll see what WWE has planned for Hell in a Cell. Maybe they wanted to blow off a feud and figured now is the time to do Hell in a Cell. I'm still a fan of dropping the themed pay-per-views completely. But yeah, if this next pay-per-view is going to be the last one at the Thunderdome, why not just do Extreme Rules as a lame duck pay-per-view and save Hell in a Cell for fans? That is a great question. I don't have an answer for you, but maybe we'll know over the next several weeks when they build up this Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and there will be a good storyline reason for it. Maybe, as Jose Garza says, maybe they want to do Roman Reigns versus Jimmy Uso inside the cell to do full circle from last year when it was Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns inside Hell in a Cell. Maybe somebody had that idea. Apparently, it was decided recently, like within the last week or so. And now it seems that Money in the Bank will be in July. What happens with Extreme Rules? Well, quite frankly, I'm hoping Extreme Rules gets put to pasture. I hope it's not going to be in October. Just get rid of it. Steve-O in the chat says maybe the main roster gets Halloween Havoc. I'm all for it. I don't think it's going to happen. My gut feeling is NXT will continue to do Halloween Havoc. What will probably happen is Extreme Rules will happen in October. And the only good reason I can think of is WWE wanted to do Hell in a Cell now. They felt it was like the right time to do it. But of course, why even have a pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell in the first place? Just get rid of it. But they're doing it, and we'll see what they come up with over the next week or so for this pay-per-view. And Mod W says, bring back Great Balls of Fire. No, please, anything but that. Although that was a very good pay-per-view despite the name. Next up, we had the SmackDown Tag Team Titles match. The Dirty Dawgs, Rudolph, the Top Dogs, whatever you want to call them, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode defending their titles against Rey Mysterio and Dominik Mysterio. And by the way, real quick here, Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat, thank you, says, bring back King of the Ring for October. I would like to see King of the Ring come back, but I guess October would be fine. Winner gets the title match at Survivor Series. You could do that. So yeah, bring back King of the Ring. I'm all for it. I mean, I like King of the Ring in June, but move it to October. That works for me too. If we get it back as a pay-per-view, I'm cool with it. If we get Cyber Sunday back as a pay-per-view in October, I'd be cool with that. Let's just get rid of Extreme Rules. That's all I ask. All right, so before the pay-per-view started, during the kickoff, you had the Dirty Dawgs attacking Dominik Mysterio in the backstage area. They beat the crap out of him. They took a couch, which was just sitting there randomly, and they dumped it over Dominik. And you had the medical doctor looking over Dominik, and it was determined that Dominik would not be clear to compete. Rey Mysterio said, don't worry about it. Rey decided to go out there and fight the Dirty Dawgs all by himself. And he did well for a while, but of course the numbers game caught up with him. They went after the leg of Mysterio. They hit several double team moves. They did a lot of brutal stuff to poor Rey. Like, Roode took Rey and sent him under the bottom rope, and Ziggler caught him with a super kick on the outside. They did some innovative stuff. But eventually, and not really a big surprise here, Dominik made his return. Dominik got a hot tag, but then he got overwhelmed. He got beat up for a while. Rey was able to tag back in, and Roode momentarily stopped Rey's momentum, but then Rey recovered, hit the 619 to Roode, and then Dominik tagged in. Rey took care of Ziggler, and Dominik went off the top with the frog splash in honor of Eddie Guerrero and picked up the tag team title victory. First time ever, father and son SmackDown tag team champions. Rey Mysterio and his son Dominik. And Father Adrian with a €5 super chat. Thank you for this. He says, Eddie was a proud poppy looking down on Dominik, doing a pitch perfect frog splash at the end. And Eddie even trended on Twitter after that win. So yeah, you got to think Eddie was looking down on this one. Johnny Boy with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Johnny Boy. Says, gotta go finishing up with Resident Evil 8. Thanks for putting out the best reviews, dude. Amazing main event, B+ overall. I appreciate it, Johnny Boy. I appreciate the kind words. This was a great match and a great story, even though I felt like it was predictable with the whole injury angle and then Dominik coming out. I thought the execution was done about as well as possible. Rey getting beat down, you had the drama, the storytelling in this match. Dominik coming back, the Mysterios continuing to stay in the fight, just busting their asses to try and accomplish this goal, and they finally did it. So, bravo. I thought this was excellent. Very well done. My only wish was that we had live fans for this. Like, imagine the pop with Dominik pinning Roode and the crowd just going wild for the father and son tag team winning their first championships. Like, that would have been the icing on the cake. But the cake itself was great. And after the match, Rey and Dominik had a big celebration. They did a quick post-match promo. They hugged. And yeah, it would have been all that much better with a live audience, but it was still pretty awesome. So congratulations to Rey Mysterio and Dominik. Alberto Gomez with a $5 super chat. Thank you for this, Alberto. Says, Mysterios versus Usos will be fire, turning it into Rey Mysterio versus Reigns. Should be great. I'm hopeful we'll get to see that at some point. It definitely makes sense to have a babyface tag team, and eventually you get the Mysterios versus the Usos. That will be hot. I'm really looking forward to that one for sure. All right, everybody. It's now time. This is what many of you have been waiting for. My thoughts on the Lumberjack match between Damian Priest and The Miz. Here we go. I need that Joker gif for this one. We had John Morrison backstage looking for the Lumberjacks. He opened a door. They should have gone all out with this. They should have had a sign or something painted on the door that said, "Don't dead open inside," because he opened the door and there were zombies. This was not The Walking Dead. This was WWE Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash, excuse me. And the zombies were there. John Morrison was freaked out. Miz and Morrison went to the ring, and Damian Priest made his entrance, and then the zombies appeared. They were, in fact, the Lumberjacks. At first, I was thinking this is just going to be like a little backstage joke. Morrison opens the door, you got the zombies, but they'll actually be wrestlers, actual WWE wrestlers, as the Lumberjacks. You know, just a quick gag for the movie. Ha ha ha. But no, WWE brought out the zombies as the actual Lumberjacks for this match. Miz and Morrison were trying to run away. They were getting overrun by the zombies that were stalking them. Morrison did manage to escape, and he ran to the back. Miz was all alone in the ring with Damian Priest. We had our match, and the Thunderdome was turned off, no fans. They just had the graphics for the movie. And this was basically Corey Graves making a bunch of zombie jokes. He made a reference at one point. Miz was trying to escape under the ring, and Corey Graves said that Miz was trying to look for Lucille, which is Negan's barbed wire baseball bat on The Walking Dead. And later on, Graves made a reference to Night of the Living Dead. They're coming to get you, Miz, which of course is a reference to They're Coming to Get You, Barbara, a line from the George Romero classic. So we had a lot of zombie jokes from Corey Graves. So if you're a zombie fan, you might have appreciated this. But I'm going to say there was no way to take this match seriously at any point. Like, it was completely over the top and ridiculous. Like top tier level of ridiculousness. From a scale of 1 to 10, this was like an 11. DJW with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, "Don't you ever make a mockery of his name, Aaron. He's Seth freaking Rollins, damn it." You're right, he is Seth freaking Rollins, especially with those outfits that he's wearing now. I mean, that makes him even more freaking than he already was. Dr. NXT Scorpio with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, "Now I don't want to watch Army of the Dead after what I saw, LOL." All right, be honest here. You had no plans of seeing that movie before this WWE pay-per-view. Stephen Osborne says, "I really did not mind the zombies. It was something different at least." And DJW sent in another $2 super chat. Says, "Sorry to go off topic. I'm at work. Not a lot of time." I'll give you a pass on that, DJW. And Father Adrian sent in a €5 super chat. Says, "I was delighted with the outcome of this match. I'm glad my colleague Priest won." I mean, does it really mean anything in this environment with the zombies out there? So at one point, you had the zombies going after Miz and Priest. They pulled them both out. I guess they were hungry. Miz and Priest actually had to work together for a brief period of time to take out the zombies, and then they got back in the ring, and the match went back to being a normal match, as much as normal could be under these circumstances. And then John Morrison returned. John Morrison jumped up on the apron, and the zombies grabbed him, and they sent him over the barricade, and then they devoured John Morrison. John Morrison has been devoured by the zombies. We didn't see it, but that was implied. And then back in the ring, Damian Priest hit the lights. He hit the lights. He hit the lights. He picked up the victory. And then after the match was over, the zombies came back into the ring and they proceeded to devour The Miz. Will The Miz actually sell being devoured, or will he be back on Raw next week? I think The Miz should be gone for several weeks. They should have The Miz somehow be regenerated or something. Maybe The Miz turns into a zombie. They might as well go all out with this storyline now. On Raw, The Miz should show up as a zombie. Same with Morrison. They could make a new tag team. They could be zombie Miz and Morrison for a couple weeks, and then maybe Maurice can come up with an antidote. They can do some vignettes. Maybe she could go to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and he can finance an antidote so Miz and Morrison can be restored to human form. And they could play this out over the next several months. Like, why not? They might as well. Miz and Morrison as zombies. And they should just be zombies for the next several months until there's an antidote. Anyways, Brian Spencer sent in a $5 super chat, says, I love how the zombies had the presence of mind to wait until the bell rang and the match was over to devour The Miz. Ridiculous. Well, see, they're polite zombies. They have manners. They're not like zombies you see on TV. Real zombies, they got manners. So when they heard the bell, they figured that was an appropriate time to feast, the dinner bell. And so they got in the ring and they had their dinner. And this guy experience with a $2 super chat says, this should have been saved for 2K22 dumb match. It was just completely absurd. And I try to laugh at it, and I was laughing at it. The fact that it was just one of the dumbest things I've seen on WWE TV in quite some time. And that's saying a lot. So anyways, watch it if you dare. I mean, it's one of those train wreck segments where you might get some entertainment value out of it. I don't know. It'll be remembered in history. Probably not in a good way. You know, it's going to be like the Shockmaster or Abdullah the Butcher at Halloween Havoc being electrocuted. It's going to be one of those notorious segments that people just remember as being all-time level of ridiculousness. All right, so now we will graciously move on to the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Bianca Bel Air versus Bayley. Bayley had Belle Loser shaved into the back of her hair, and Bianca Bel Air did pretty well early on. She dominated most of the early part of the match. Bayley gained the upper hand by going after Bel Air's earring. So Bianca Bel Air, she was doing well at first, but then Bayley had to use some cheap tactics. Bayley slammed Bel Air onto the steel steps and then suplexed her on the floor. But then Bayley got too confident. She started laughing at Bel Air. Bel Air got pissed off. She made a big comeback, but Bayley was able to recover and got a near fall with the flying elbow. Bayley attempted to pin Bel Air using the ropes, but the referee saw it. And when the referee was distracted, Bayley raked Bel Air's eyes and hit the Bayley to belly, but Bel Air was able to kick out of that. Bayley then tried to use Bel Air's braid, but Bel Air was able to counter that, and she used her own hair as leverage, although around 2, Bayley kind of slipped out and Bel Air had to pull her back in, so they kind of biffed the ending of this. However, Bianca Bel Air, in theory, won the match using her own hair after Bayley attempted to use the hair. Bianca did it, countered the move, and pinned Bayley. Match was good. Perfectly fine match between these two. No real surprises. Pretty much exactly what you would expect from these two. And then we had our 2 WWE Championship matches. The WWE title was first. Bobby Lashley defending against Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman in a triple threat match. Lashley wanted to work together with McIntyre right at the beginning. McIntyre declined, but then decided to help out with Lashley. The two of them did a double suplex to Strowman. Then they went after each other for a while. Strowman managed to build up some momentum. He did a dive off the apron, which thankfully McIntyre did a good job of catching him, because otherwise that would have been a pretty nasty landing. We had the match going back and forth here with everybody. Strowman used the steel steps to gain the upper hand, since in triple threat matches, anything goes. But then we had Strowman sent over the barricade via a claymore from McIntyre. We had Lashley and McIntyre fighting up on the stage, and McIntyre sent Lashley through the LED screen, causing sparks to fly. And you pretty much knew at this point what was going to happen. Lashley got taken out of the equation, but I mean, it was pretty clear that he was going to be coming back at some point. And the announcers were like, this led to Lashley being out of action for weeks last time it happened. You knew he was coming back. So without Lashley, it was down to McIntyre and Strowman. And they did some pretty good stuff. McIntyre did a Michinoku driver to Strowman, got a near fall. And then on the outside of the ring, Strowman powerbombed McIntyre through the announce table. And back in the ring, McIntyre was able to make a comeback, hit the Claymore to Strowman, but then, of course, Bobby Lashley returned and sent McIntyre out of the ring. Lashley speared Strowman and pinned Strowman to retain his WWE title. I mean, it was predictable, but again, execution was really good. I thought the match was very solid. Very entertaining match between these three. So no real complaints. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good triple threat match between these two. And I would say it even exceeded my expectations. Alberto Gomez with a $5 super chat says, so we're getting Bianca versus Bayley or Bianca versus Sasha, or continue the trend of triple threat at Hell in a Cell with those three women. Would not shock me if we got a triple threat. Would not shock me if that's the end of Bayley getting opportunities. I could see Sasha coming back and maybe they do Bianca versus Sasha Hell in a Cell as the blow off to that feud, or even do a triple threat with the three of them Hell in a Cell. I mean, I could see either scenario playing out, but I would expect Sasha to be involved at Hell in a Cell. All right, and then we had our main event, our final match of the evening, Roman Reigns versus Cesaro for the Universal Championship. And Dr. NXT Scorpio sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I bet they are going to do Lashley versus Drew one more time at Hell in a Cell. That would not shock me. I'm expecting that. We're probably going to get 3 cell matches again. I would prefer 2. I'd honestly prefer 1. But yeah, Lashley versus Drew McIntyre one more time. It might not be in the cell, but I think they'll get one more match, one more singles match. You know, ultimately the Strowman thing was probably just filler. And I could see Jimmy Uso versus Roman Reigns. But let's talk about the Universal title match, and then I'll talk about the potential SmackDown main event. We had backstage Roman Reigns wanting Jey Uso to go find Jimmy. Jimmy had been venting earlier in the show backstage, you know, about the whole situation with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. So Reigns wanted Jey to go find Jimmy, and Reigns went to the ring by himself with Paul Heyman, no Jey Uso. And we got a few super chats here, which I will get to. I will get to Nick's in a moment because it jumps ahead to the end. Carla sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate it. Says, who will finally beat Lashley? Will it be Lesnar? Could be. Would not shock me. I think you got to bring back Brock when fans return. I mean, you got two big matches you can do. Either Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley or Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Either one I'm cool with. I think you got to bring back Brock and do those matches. I know Paulo in the chat's not a big fan of Lesnar, but I think, Lashley versus Lesnar is a totally fresh match. And Reigns versus Lesnar, we've seen it before, but the roles reversed. And with Paul Heyman in the middle, I think that could be a very compelling match. Anyways, Cesaro had vampire fangs for his mouth guard, which was pretty cool. And I was thinking, is he going to bite Reigns at some point? They had a damn good main event here. This was an excellent match between these two, and no surprises. And I say that in the most positive way possible. Like, these guys just had a killer match that you would expect them to have. Reigns was just taking it slow in the beginning. Cesaro would get the upper hand. Reigns would go to the outside, and Cesaro tried to get the swing. Reigns got to the rope, and then Cesaro was thrown out of the ring. Cesaro landed on his arm and started selling his arm, and that was a big factor in the story of this match. Cesaro hurt his arm, and that would affect him later on in the match trying to beat Roman. Roman would dominate the match for a while. Cesaro would make a comeback. Reigns would go after the bad arm. And at one point, Reigns gave a shout out to DB, Daniel Bryan. Reigns started talking some trash. Cesaro managed to stay in the fight. And Cesaro attempted to hit the neutralizer, but his arm gave out on him. Reigns would hit a Superman punch. Cesaro kicked out of that. Reigns put on the guillotine submission. Cesaro powered out of the submission. And then Cesaro got the sharpshooter on Reigns. His arm was still hurting, so he transitioned into a crossface. However, his arm was still bad. Reigns broke out of it. And then Reigns put on the guillotine for a second time. Cesaro did everything he could to try to break out of it. He couldn't do it. He passed out, and Reigns was declared the victor, still the Universal Champion. Now, let me get to the super chats here before giving you my thoughts on this. Nick Glavin with a $14 super chat, and I very much appreciate that, Nick. He says, this main event did it all. Slow Roman pace, good storytelling, gave sympathy to the Cesaro character. Cesaro looked good in defeat. Post beatdown was good too. Live crowd would have been dope. I am 100% in agreement with you, Nick, on everything you said there. Match was fantastic, and a live crowd would have put it even more over the top. Cesaro looked strong in defeat, and Reigns won clean. I love that. I'm so happy they didn't have Jay running down, Jimmy running down, and all the shenanigans. They just had Reigns beat Cesaro clean in the middle in a hard-fought back-and-forth match. Exactly what you want to do to build up both guys, really. Cesaro, he lost his first attempt at the WWE title, but he gave it a hell of a fight against the top guy in the company. So I thought it was extremely well done. Great main event. Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat says, love that Roman Reigns did this on his own, no Usos. Absolutely. They did do the post-match angle, but I'm glad they did it after the match. And Darren sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate it. He says, hey, Aaron, is Roman Reigns the head of the kids' table or the buffet table? He's ahead of everything. He's the head of the franchise, all the restaurants, all the tables, the WWE Universe, the wrestling universe. Roman Reigns is the tribal chief. I acknowledge him, and I say you all should acknowledge your tribal chief as well. But of course, some of you are going to rebel and say, no, But that's how you should react because, well, he is the top heel in the company, and you're supposed to hate him. Jack sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Jack. Says, quality review as always. Tell a friend about it. I appreciate that very much. If you guys could, share a link to this video on social media. And if you're watching for the first time and you're liking the video, I would appreciate it if you considered subscribing and turning on notifications for updates. And of course, staying tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest wrestling news and rumors. Full results of the pay-per-view are up on the site. You can check out the latest news there on NoDQ.com. Let's talk about the post-match here. Afterwards, we had Jey Uso come down to the ring. He recognized Reigns, acknowledged him as the head of the table. Jey then hit Cesaro with a super kick, beat him up, was going to hit a frog splash, but then Seth Rollins showed up, and Rollins teased a confrontation with Reigns, but then that son of a bitch went after Cesaro instead. They still have unfinished business. Rollins took a chair, hit Cesaro with the chair, and then wrapped Cesaro's arm, his bad arm, into the chair, and then slammed Cesaro's arm with the chair into the ring post. And then to put the nail in the coffin, at least on this night, you had Rollins hit Cesaro with the curb stomp on the floor. I'm still hoping we're getting Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, but I guess WWE wants to slow build it, finish off the Cesaro versus Rollins feud. And hell, that could be a Hell in a Cell match too. You know, they got a personal feud here. That could be a potential Hell in a Cell candidate. I mean, you don't have to do Jimmy Uso versus Reigns Hell in a Cell, although it would make sense, you know, full circle from when Jey and Reigns had their Hell in a Cell match. So it was definitely an intriguing ending, and yeah, hell of a show. The zombie stuff was what it was. You know, it was pretty stupid. Miz was the WWE champion a couple months ago. You're trying to build up Damian Priest as a top guy. Why are you doing comedy matches with him? But other than that, like this was a great pay-per-view. A lot of really strong matches. Alberto Gomez with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Alberto. Says, there should be no problem Roman Reigns having a long title reign like Walter. He shouldn't be losing that title, period. I agree 100%. Roman Reigns has no good reason to lose the WWE title anytime soon. The character is red hot. You want to keep the momentum going. There's so many different storylines and matchups you can do with Roman Reigns. As I've said many times, whether it's Seth Rollins or Brock Lesnar or John Cena or The Rock, no reason for Reigns to lose anytime soon. Keep it going. Make this an all-time great WWE title reign. That's all I got to say about it. I'm giving the pay-per-view an A. I wanted to give it an A+. Like, if it wasn't for the zombie stuff, I probably would have said this was the pay-per-view of the year. Like, it was great. It was a great show. If you can forgive the zombie stuff was the blemish, the one blemish on this show. I think it's a great pay-per-view. 3 hours, perfect length, solid from start to finish. No real complaints. I mean, really, the only thing that I feel like you would complain about would be the zombie stuff. And even that, like, if you just laugh at it and take it for what it is, you know, we've seen lousy wrestling segments over the years, whether it's the Shockmaster or Bash and Booger. Like, we've seen really stupid segments on WWE television over the years. Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat says, B+ would have been an A if it wasn't for the zombies. And looking at some of the other comments here, Cleaver Colin Andrew with a B-, Dr. NXT Scorpio with a B, Mr. Heavy Metal Hero Dude with a B+, CC Drink with an A, Michael Wayne with an A, and Matt Helms with an A. TJS gives it a C. He thought it was just average. The game is on 100 with an A minus. Might be with an A minus. And Stefan says a solid B plus. He thought that the awkward, unnecessary aftermath of the ending kept it from being an A. I didn't have a problem with the ending because they did it after the match. And Carla sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Carla. Says, shame the good matches were on the pre-show. Well, on the pre-show, they just had the Sheamus Ricochet thing, which was really a nothing match, in my opinion. So that's all I got for tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your viewership and support. Again, consider subscribing if you haven't already, turning on notifications for updates, and of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the fallout from WrestleMania Backlash. Got lots of content coming up this week, recaps of all the shows, No DQ review, and more to come. We got Double or Nothing coming up at the end of the month. Going to be busy times here on the site and the channel. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Enjoy your week, and I will see you all next time. Wait, we're not done yet. Alberto sent in a $5 super chat. Swerve, we're not done. He says, I'm curious to see who Lashley gets at SummerSlam. Cena and Lesnar have feuds with Roman that can make sense. I agree with you. And I would be fine with John Cena versus Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley for SummerSlam. Like, as a double header for SummerSlam, that's pretty epic. And I know people say, oh, they're bringing back the part-timers, but when you're trying to get the fans back and get back to a sense of normalcy, you know what's going to happen. You know WWE is going to bring back the big guns for WrestleMania. And I'm fine with Cena going for that 17th title. I'm fine with Lashley versus Lesnar, a match we haven't seen before, that we've seen teased for several months. I say go for it. Doubleheader for SummerSlam. I would be very intrigued by both of those matches. So again, thank you for that, Alberto. Take care, everybody. See you next time.